Good evening. Dan here with Brown Liquor Review number 34. We're going to be looking at George T. Stagg Jr. Unfortunately, it's just Jr., but it's not that unfortunate. Unfortunately, this is certainly unfortunate. Buffalo Trace Antique Collection has come and gone, and I missed out, sadly. Wah wah. But I wanted to save this one around just in case I wasn't able to get Mr. Stagg Senior, the granddaddy of all bourbons. One that I've had the privilege of having in bars, and in my mind it is the king daddy of all bourbon. And if you've had it before, you understand what I'm saying. The With this one, though, this one comes out about twice a year. It's usually right around the spring and usually in the fall. It is, how much is this? It's like $55, and it's a good look at, what Stagg Junior or Senior will become. And probably this one is, how old is this thing? It's not telling me. But from what I understand, this one's about 7 or 8 years old. Okay? And Stagg Senior, it varies in age. I think this year it was 14 or 15 years old. And in the past, it's gone up to, I think, 18. George T. Stagg is bottled upwards of 70%, if you can believe it. This one is 66.05. Which is 132, so that's no slouch. This is a very, very big bourbon. And I wanted to be able to start talking about the intensity of bourbon, okay? Because a lot of the time I'm talking about similar characteristics from bourbon to bourbon. So most of them have brown sugar, and they might have caramel, and they certainly have vanilla, and the charred oak flavor, and the amount of oak that's in there. And like I've said before, cherries and so on and so forth. With these big bourbons, the thing that sets them apart is the intensity of those flavors. Okay? With Stagg Jr., they're not pulling any punches. Okay? This is in your face. It is what bourbon is supposed to taste like. This is, it's as unfiltered as it can get. I mean, it's barrel proof, okay? Basically, they filter it just enough so that there is no splinters in it. But usually, if you look in the bottom of this one, there is char in the bottom. We love that. If you find char and other things in your bottle of whiskey, be happy. Be extremely happy. Because it is an expression of bourbon that is as close to being straight from the barrel as you can get. As whiskey fans, I think, and as consumers, we want something that mimics the product straight out of its environment. So, right out of the barrel. Okay? So, with this one, for most everybody, you're going to want to put water in it. You guys know my stance, usually for the most part, especially with bourbon. I drink bourbon neat, no matter how strong it is, because I think that it's a luxury to be able to sip on a very strong bourbon. And I understand that at such high alcohol concentrations that it will dull your taste buds, so on and so forth. And maybe I'm just irrational, I don't know, but it's just something that I think is special. Okay? So, and you take your time with it. This isn't something that you just want to get trashed off of, okay? This is something that, you can enjoy throughout the night. And I'm certainly going to enjoy this one, because the only thing that I get that's just permeating the whole air, is cherries. It's fantastic. But let me get into it. So on the nose, extremely intense. Okay, we're talking about alcohol that's at 66% alcohol by volume. One trick that you might want to try while you're nosing a bourbon like this is to keep your mouth open while you nose. It kind of dulls down the experience, or either that or it makes it more tolerable. If you go like that, you kind of get burnt out because there is so much alcohol fumes coming into your face. So this one, you can just tell that this is already special, but imagine doubling it in age. This one's on track to being the greatest bourbon in the world, right? This is the Prince, kind of, sort of, okay? Big. You can tell that the barrels have been alligator charred, which means they char it so much that there's actually, it almost looks like alligator scales. That's how deep they go into the wood. You can tell. Lots of caramel. Neighboring on burnt molasses. Vanilla pod. I'm not talking extract. I'm not talking about vanilla sugar. I'm not talking about anything. I'm talking about the big, ugly, black, long bean that everybody loves to use. Cocoa, most certainly. Prunes, raisins, dates. And my favorite thing, this thing smells like cherry Twizzlers. Like the ones that you pull off as kids. Those were my favorite. Cherry Twizzlers, cherry compote. You just put some fresh cherries in a little bit of water and some sugar. Cook that down. Boom. You just get smacked in the face with cherry. Okay, so cheers. Just a little bit. Seriously, just enough to get your teeth wet. Candied cherries, caramel, vanilla seeds. So you open up the pod and then you scrape it out. Those are the seeds, right? Just complete intense vanilla. Talking about intensity. This is the intensity of this one is just so amped up. In a few reviews, I'm going to start getting into Booker's and other barrel-proof bourbons. I'm going to start focusing more on the intensity of flavors, okay? So I'm also going to be talking about a bourbon like Elmer T. Lee, which is at 90 proof. Elmer T. Lee versus something like this, which may actually be the same mash bill from Buffalo Trace, I'm not sure. But, it's all about the intensity of different things. So, intense brown sugar. It's really following the nose. It's just... If you want, this is a good time to add a few drops of water to dilute it down. And when you do that, all of those things really start coming out. Okay. So, overall, this is a snapshot of the real deal Stagg Senior. It's well on its way to being the greatest bourbon in the world. I really wish I could have had some this year of George T. Stagg. But you know what? I'm happy with this one. And maybe next year is the year that I'll get Stagg. Until then, I'll go into Philadelphia and pay stinking $35 or $40 for one drink of it. But you're damn right if you think I'm going to enjoy that $35, $40 shot. That's for sure. This one gets a brown liquor review score of 89. The couple of years that it's available, I would suggest that you do buy a bottle. Okay? And you get into it. This one was a little bit different from the other bottle I had. It is barrel proof, so I'm thinking that there will be variations in between each bottle, which makes it even more interesting. Makes you want to buy it again and again and again, just to see what it's like. Okay, I know that a lot of people are big fans of consistency in alcohol. Of course, you want to know what you're going to get for especially $55, $60 bottle of bourbon. But sometimes, variation is the spice of life, especially when it comes to bourbon, and it will add to your whiskey experience. So, like I said, 89, and I'm going to sit here and enjoy this one, get ready for my next video, and I appreciate you tuning in. All 57 of you. Can you believe that? 57 people have subscribed to my silly little videos, and I really appreciate it. I really do. And so, I'll continue to crank these out because I do want to continue to chronicle the whiskeys that I've had. And so this is somewhat for me, but hopefully it helps you in picking out whiskeys when you go to the store, or putting some whiskeys on your wish list, so on and so forth. I just want to be helpful. If you have any thoughts or ideas about this one, or any kind of whiskeys that you might want me to review, please put it in the comment section below. Feel free to like it, I guess, if you want to. And certainly subscribe. I'll try to make it worth your time. Okay? Cheers. I'll see you soon.